Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Daniel Cooperman, and we're glad you could join us this evening. Thank you to all community members, residents, and business owners for spending time with us to learn about 350 Merrydale. First, I'm going to kick it over to Walter to explain the translation features for tonight's Zoom.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Walter. So today we're going to be, buenas tardes, mi nombre es Walter González. Hoy vamos a estar usando la aplicación Wordly para traducir esta junta. Si miran en su computadora o uso o su celular, pueden ir arriba de la pantalla y van a ver una palabra que dice Wordly. Si hacen clic en en ese icono que dice Wordly, van a ver un mensaje que dice, está en inglés, que dice que el contenido de esta junta está mandado a este sistema Wordly. La palabra Wordly lo puede hacer clic en esa y cuando hace clic en esa palabra los va a tomar a una página web donde se está traduciendo esta junta de inglés a español. Si todavía no está marcado inglés en español, por favor vayan otra vez arriba de la pantalla y van a ver que dice idioma. Por favor vayan abajo y selecten el idioma en español. Y así van a ver la junta como una versión chat. Si prefieren escuchar la junta, también pueden ir de regreso a la izquierda arriba, por favor, y van a ver que hay un icono como de un audífono que por el momento va a tener una X. Si hacen clic a ese, se va a ir la X y van a poder empezar a escuchar la junta en español. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You're next.
Thank you, Walter. For tonight's panel, let me introduce everyone here on the Zoom with us. With the City of San Rafael, we have Vice Mayor Mary Beth Bushy, John Stefanski, Assistant City Manager, myself, Daniel Cooperman, Lynn Murphy, our Homeless Outreach Clinician, as well as Sergeant Todd Behringer. With the County of Marin, we're happy to have Supervisor Mary Sackett, Dr. Lisa Varhus, Director of Health and Human Services, and Gary Najaris, the Division Director for Homelessness and Coordinated Care. And then we also have with us Alicia Owens, Community Liaison with the Marin County Lived Experience Advisory Board. And now I will kick it over to Vice Mayor Bushy for some opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and welcome, everyone. I don't know if you can all see the numbers, but there's 174 of you there. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules on this beautiful autumn evening to be here to talk about 35 Merrydale and hear more about the details and the facts and to really kick off the dialogue with the city and the county about this project. So thank you for being here. It shows something I'm very proud of in San Rafael. We show up because we care. And we know that you care, and that's why we're here to bring as much information as we possibly can tonight, and then to have a subsequent meeting in person next Thursday. And then there'll be hearings before the City Council as well as Supervisor Sackett and all the rest of the supervisors on the Board of Supervisors. This project is a way for San Rafael to help address the unhoused residents among us who need help being brought to a level of stability so that they can help themselves. They need a place to be safe, to get the case management outreach that they need from some of the people like Lynn that you're going to hear from tonight, and to help them rebuild their lives and ultimately move into permanent housing. This project, the small houses, or we're also calling them cabins, are just an interim step for them as well as for the property. The property will ultimately become permanent low-cost housing once this project is the interim housing project is completed. So it sort of mirrors the process that we want these people to go through, because our ultimate vision is that we will have housing here and people in that housing. And none of this would have been possible without the County of Marin's partnership and their generous contribution of $8 million in housing funds to help make both aspects of this project a reality. And I want to let you know that our approach is grounded in compassion, but also in practical success. San Rafael has a history, we've done it at 2 different sites now, of putting together these interim transitional places, bringing our in-house residents to a place of stability and safety and helping them get on to the next step for them. But so again, I want to thank now, I think there's 193 of you. So thank you for showing up tonight. You're going to hear a lot of information about the project, and I hope that that will answer your questions. And we've got hundreds of questions to answer as well. So thank you for caring about San Rafael, and thank you for being here. And now I'd like to turn it over to Supervisor Sackett.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Bushy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the almost 200 of you that are online with us tonight. I want to first start by thanking the City of San Rafael for hosting tonight's discussion. Since the announcement at the press conference earlier this month, I've heard from a lot of you. Residents have shared concerns about neighborhood safety, about management of the site, about community engagement, and about how decisions like this are made. I want you to know that I've read those messages and I take them very seriously. Your questions are valid, and they're exactly why the city is holding this webinar tonight and also planning a follow-up in-person information center session on November 6th. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening and being engaged with your community. I'll now pass it back to the City of San Rafael team.
Thank you, Supervisor Sackett. So first, for a little overview of tonight's meeting, we're here, both city and county staff, to provide information about the project at 350 Merrydale, including program management, safety and security timeline and next steps, as well as participate in an extensive Q&A with community members such as yourself. I do want to remind folks before we get into the presentation that the next opportunities for community input is November 6th from 5 to 7 at the JCC. Following that, there will be a city council meeting on November 17th. And then lastly, this item will be in front of the Marin County Board of Supervisors on November 18th. Now into the presentation.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Sorry, Daniel. I was going to remind you to share screen.
Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
No, you cannot. Okay. Are we good now?
We see something. Yeah, we see the slide number 4, so you might start it from the beginning or other slides that you have.
There we go. Okay.
I believe you also need to go into present or not. There you go.
Okay. Is everyone seeing the full screen?
I see the city response to
You're good.
homelessness slide, and you may want to left
There we
click
go.
one more time. Yep, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. So the city's response to homelessness. San Rafael's approach is built on balance and compassion for our unhoused residents and accountability to our entire community. First, we are committed to treating our unhoused neighbors with the same compassion and dignity that we show our housed residents. Second, collaboration is key. As you can see today, we partner closely with the County of Marin and local service providers to make sure people have access to case management, housing navigation, and support services. No single agency can do this alone. It takes collaboration across every level. Third, we continue to manage the impacts of encampments citywide. That means ongoing coordination with our SAFE team, San Rafael Police Department, and our contractor for encampment cleanups to respond to safety concerns, keep areas clean, and connect people to resources. Fourth, we implement and enforce our camping regulations to reduce impacts on the broader community and keep public spaces open and safe for everyone. As you see on this slide, you can see starting in 2021, when the city opened our SSA, your service support area, we opened that site to improve sanitation and service connections for unhoused residents, where we saw a lot of success in terms of transitioning people to permanent housing. Following that, in 2023, as I mentioned, we launched the SAFE team to respond to emergencies that did not require police intervention. Later in 2023, we also enacted our camping ordinance and began our search for interim shelter location. I do want to mention in 2023 to 2024, encampment enforcement was halted by an injunction, which was the Boyd versus City of San Rafael lawsuit. In 2024, the injunction was lifted, and the case prompted the city to refine its camping ordinance and seek to establish more options so we did not find ourselves in further litigation. Following that, in 2024, we opened our sanctioned camping area with a grant that we jointly applied with the County of Marin that funded nearly $6 million in encampment relief funding to provide an interim location for folks along the Mahone Path. Later in 2024 and early 2025, we updated our camping ordinance, which clarified prohibitions on unpermitted structures, added roadway setbacks, and prohibited camping in certain fire hazard severity zones in all city parks. Lastly, this brings us to here. Hopefully in 2026, the launch of an interim shelter project and affordable housing project at 350 Merrydale. Part of the city's overall philosophy and strategy to address homelessness is balancing compassion and dignity for the folks that we serve, just as we do for our housed residents within the city. We partner with the County of Marin and service providers to provide case management support services for those in needs, and we balance the needs of all community members by trying to manage and decrease the impact of encampments through enforcement and other nonprofit services. And that lastly, as I mentioned, we implemented camping regulations to reduce the areas that folks could camp on within the city. Next, I want to talk about a little bit of the success at Mahone Creek. Crime at Mahone Path went down 80% along Anderson and Lindaro, and the surrounding area went down 50% from 23 to 2025. This directly correlated with the opening of the sanctioned camping area, which, as you can see on the slide, significantly reduced crime. 24% of those residents who were along the Mahone Path and surrounding area prior to the sanctioned camp have been permanently housed. 74% are working with a housing-based case manager, and 54% have secured employment or financial assistance. 82% of all individuals are enrolled in benefits, and 100% of individuals requesting substance use treatment or mental health services have been have received referrals to services. More on our current camping regulations and enforcement. So I just wanted to give a little overview of our current ordinance setup for regulating camping. Currently, it cannot be within 10 feet of private property, within 5 feet of roadways. No camping is allowed at any city parks, as well as Falkirk Cultural Center, Lindaro Street between Anderson and Jordan, Mahone Creek Path between Lincoln and Anderson, and within 100 feet of a playground and within 200 feet of a school. On open space properties, parking garages, public facilities, or public right-of-way sidewalks is also prohibited. If someone is camping in a prohibited area, the city will provides immediate notice to the individual and then assist them with moving within 72 hours or immediately if there's an imminent threat to health and safety. Upcoming changes to our camping ordinance and parking regulations. In the spring, San Rafael City Council will consider changes to camping regulations to further prohibit unsanctioned camping along Anderson Drive and within certain proximity to the interim shelter site at 350 Merrydale. We're also going to change parking regulations to ensure RVs or other vehicles do not impact the neighborhood, as we intend to have this site be a very good neighbor for the neighborhood. Now on to an overview of the 350 Merrydale Road shelter. First off, it's time limited. Right now, we only have funding until June 30th, 2027, with the option, if funding is secured, for 2 additional years, and no matter what, closing by June 30th, 2029. The site, as you can see from a stock photo, will look similar to this, and it will have 65 individual cabins with heat, electricity, and storage. It will have 24/7, 365 on-site program staff, showers, bathrooms, security, and trash cleanup along the site. The program is going to prioritize residents of the current Mahone Creek Path sanctioned camping area, as well as the unsanctioned encampment along Anderson Drive, with all folks having the option to receive case management services and housing-based navigation. And now I'm going to kick it over to my county counterparts to talk about some of those services.
Thank you, Daniel. And again, for the participants, I'm Gary Najaris. I'm the Director for Homelessness with Health and Human Services at the county. In addition to the on-site services that will be available at 350 Merrydale, the county, through the ERF grant, as well as through our Health and Human Services divisions, will be providing additional supportive services. First, all residents will be matched with a housing-based case manager. These case managers provide support for basic needs, transportation, and also intensive support to transition to a permanent housing destination. Additionally, services and referrals to community-based organizations in our homeless system of care will be provided on a regular basis anytime a client has an emerging need, including connections to things like street medicine, shelter, transitional housing, and essentials like clothing and personal care supplies. And finally, through our coordinated care initiative at Health and Human Services, we work to ensure that all individuals experiencing homelessness at a site like this are connected to all of the social service entitlements, behavioral health assessment and referrals if needed, and public health services. Thank you, and back to Daniel.
Thank you, Gary. So why Merrydale Road? The property at 350 Merrydale Road creates the ability to move nearly 25% of our unhoused individuals in San Rafael off the street and into temporary shelter in more dignified and safer conditions. When people have a safe place to sleep, they can finally focus on the things that all of us should be doing and getting started on the next chapter in their life. Things like updating a resume, applying for a job, keeping appointments, or planning for the future. It's almost impossible to do those things when you're sleeping outside, fighting the elements every day. The program at Merrydale will provide a pathway for stability, which increases the success of placement and retention in permanent housing. There's a flat, accessible, large lot, large enough to fit 65 cabins. It's within our city and county budget, and it's also identified as a location to develop affordable housing in San Rafael's housing element. We did also explore over 20 other sites within the city, and there was not one that met all of these criteria. We've seen a lot of questions about why we were discussing this in closed session and why not more notice prior to the public press conference. The city had searched for a site for over 2 years, and local governments are permitted to consider confidential matters of potential real property negotiations in closed session under the Brown Act. This protects taxpayer funds by establishing leverage in price negotiations. And until a tentative agreement was reached, there was not enough information to share. As I mentioned earlier, the city was searching for over 2 years to find something that would work. All actions which are legally considered final are always reported out at a public city council meeting. Now to talk a little bit about safety. First off, we will have 24/7 security, which will include controlled entry with bag checks, perimeter fencing, security cameras, and lighting. And in addition to fire and public safety inspections and on-site fire extinguishers for any mishaps that might happen. FS Global Solutions, who's been a partner with us at the sanctioned camping area, will provide daily support and maintain a peaceful environment. And in addition to maintaining and cleaning the property in the immediate surrounding area. Our safety departments, 911 will deploy the SAFE team, our mobile mental health response, fire department, and police department if needed. Parking service is also coordinating with us to conduct targeted enforcement to ensure parking does not become a nuisance for the neighbors who already live in the area. And again, as Gary mentioned, on-site support services, which includes housing-based case management, housing navigation, and health and substance use support, employment and educational support. Currently, at our sanctioned camping area, we've been able to ensure that there's no loitering or camping right around the site, and that is something that will continue to happen at Merrydale. We'll ensure that targeted enforcement will be conducted to ensure compliance. Our good neighbor policy and code of conduct. Currently, again, this mirrors what's happening at the sanctioned camping area. We want folks who are going to be residing at the site to respect neighbors, staff, and fellow residents with quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Residents are required to sign in and abide by a code of conduct outlining expectations for respectful behavior. Residents must keep personal areas clean and follow noise and visitors guidelines to ensure a peaceful environment. And failure to abide by the code of conduct will lead to a program dismissal. There's a zero tolerance for violence or behavior that disrupts the neighborhood, as well as needing to participate in case management and goal setting to ensure that their stay at Merrydale is a short one as they continue their path to permanent housing. And as always, we welcome community feedback and collaboration as we want to make this program a success and not disruptive to the neighborhood. Now I'm going to pass it over to Alicia Owens. If you can turn your camera on, Alicia, and take over.
Hello. If it's okay, I would actually prefer to keep the camera off if that's all right, but I don't mind having my mic on, obviously.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia, and I'm honored to be here to represent the County of Marin and a community member right here in Santa Fe. Tonight, I'm speaking about my story of resilience, transformation, and of community support. It was here in Santa Fe that I once found myself homeless. It was one of the most difficult times in my life. Every day was a repeat of constant uncertainty, tremendous loss, paired with fear and a loss of hope. Thanks to the combined efforts of the City of Santa Fe, dedicated outreach teams, Lynn Murphy, and the Santa Fe Police Department, I have been able to reclaim my life. Today, I am living in an apartment in Santa Fe. I am employed and I have reconnected with my family. I also serve on the Marin County Lived Experience Advisory Board, with which I have a leadership role, and I am helping to reshape programs that uplift our community. This project at 350 Merrydale is not just about housing. It's about creating a pathway to stability and healing for our community within our community. Project 350 Merrydale is not just a stopgap. It is an empowering bridge leading to hope and support from local providers and community members. This is an opportunity to stand together in support of this project and hopefully others like it. I understand that many of you here tonight have concerns about the opening of this site. You would prefer to not have to see the unhoused community in our neighborhoods. I would like to challenge the notion that you can simply just wish them and these issues away. Instead, let's try something else. Let's start by supporting initiatives like this one. Let's create more safe spaces that foster healing and let these individuals empower them to rise again with help, with hope, with healing, and with dignity. I would also like to say that we are all in this together. We are all a community, and these are our neighbors, whether or not they are housed or not. It's up to us to create a stronger, healthier, all-inclusive community for everybody, by every one of us. I have value, and these individuals that are going to be residents at 350 Merrydale also have value, and they also have a purpose. Personally, I would much rather say that I had a part in helping someone believe in themselves again, rather than just throwing pennies in a wishing well and hoping it'll go away. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Alicia. I could have not said that any better. Okay, now on to project timeline and next steps. So as we're doing right now, which is occurring, is community outreach, including public participation, as I mentioned earlier, with the city council at November 17th and the board of supervisors at November 18th. Prior to that, we will have our in-person community meeting. And then for site development, which we've received a lot of questions about, we are looking to launch the program in early to mid 2026. And as we get closer to that timeline, we will obviously keep the community informed. A quick reminder about the in-person community session I just mentioned. So again, it's next Thursday, November 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Marin JCC in the Hoyt Theater. Please welcome to drop in at any time. You can learn more and speak directly with the team working on this project. As you can see listed, there's many departments and staff that will be on site, starting with the city manager's office, community services division, our SRPD and SAFE team, Marin County Health and Human Services staff, as well as our nonprofit service providers and our program site operators. So that will be going from 5 to 7, and we will have ample time to answer questions throughout that time. Now, as we move on to our Q&A, we have received already 300 pre-submitted questions. A lot of them mirror each other in theme. We are going to do our best tonight to get to every question, but if we do not get to your question, that is the perfect opportunity to come next week and talk directly to staff. So we are not editing any questions. We are not pre-selecting any questions. We're simply just have over 300 already and increasing. And so I just wanted to say that before we kick it off. And so now I'll pass it to Nguyen, who will be leading our Q&A.
Thank you, Daniel. Nguyen from the city manager's office. First question, will you make the questions you have received public? And this one will be Daniel.
Yeah, so on our website right now, we have published a FAQ with a lot of questions that have been submitted. We're going to continue to add on to that FAQ as we keep on getting different questions. And so that's where you can find any published responses.
Thank you, Daniel. Second question, how soon can you get this up and running?
So like I mentioned, we're looking at early to mid 2026 for the interim shelter site. And then what we didn't mention is that we're looking by mid 2028 to have the project entitled for affordable housing. So that's the timeline we're working on. Obviously, we need to go through the full city council and board of supervisors process to see if it's approved. And if so, then we'll be able to update the community with a more accurate timeline.
Next question, why was this project apparently done in secret and in closed session?
Yeah, so we tried to address those questions in the slide deck. Truly, it took a very long time, over 2 years, to find a site. And under the Brown Act, the city is allowed to discuss real property negotiations in closed session to protect negotiation strategy and taxpayer funds. If we published that prior to this, that we were trying to acquire 350 Merrydale, the sellers could easily have increased the price.
Thank you. Next question. What safeguards are in place against crime involving residents or nearby areas? How will the city keep children safe given the proximity to homes?
For that, if I could ask Lynn Murphy and Todd Berenger to respond. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. We are going to be working very closely with our partners who are managing the site, FS Global and D Block Security. We've been working with them already on our current site, which is the sanctioned camping area on Mahone Creek Path. We've got a very close working relationship with these two organizations. With them, we will come up with a good neighbor policy as well as input from the community. That will be to ensure the safety of the neighboring businesses, apartment buildings, and residences. We also have crafted in the past for our previous SSA, our service support area underneath the 101 freeway, as well as the sanctioned camping area, a code of conduct, which is a living document. We can change that as we see fit. The code of conduct provides for a set of guidelines, expectations, and rules for the people who will be residing at the site. And a violation of those rules can result in exiting from the program. Thank you.
Additionally, we will continue to do our regular police patrols. We also have the SAFE team. And for those that are unfamiliar with the SAFE team, it's a specialized assistance for everyone. It's a crisis counselor and an emergency medical technician that are paired up. It's a new resource that we've been piloting for the past 2.5 years, and we'll be continuing for an additional 2 more years. As Lynn Murphy, she's our mental health liaison, mentioned, D-Block will know everybody who's assigned to the site. They keep track of who comes and goes. There will be video surveillance in the area covering the site. So all of those things will create this the security around and inside the sanction area. Back to you, Daniel.
Anything else to add, Lynn and Todd? Thank you. Next question. In all of the locations that are available in San Rafael, why was this site selected? Daniel?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there's not ample space within San Rafael. We live in a very built-out city. So finding enough space with the amenities already pretty much ready to go was very challenging. Took over 2 years, and so that's how we landed on Merrydale, is that there was just simply no other potential site that fit the criteria and gave enough space to do a project like this.
Thank you. Next question. What resources and services will be provided?
To answer the services question, I'm going to pass that off to Gary or Lisa.
Thank you. In addition to the kinds of services that are provided on site, like security and showers and all that kind of stuff, as I mentioned in the slide that we shared, every resident is assigned to what's called a housing-based case manager. The housing-based case manager has primarily 2 roles. The first is help the client in front of you with anything that they might need. So today it might be transportation. Tomorrow it might be, I'm thinking of getting a job. The day after that, it might be, I need to renew my Medi-Cal to keep my insurance. The next day it might be, I need to get to my doctor, or I've run out of my medication. So first is about helping clients with all of the day-to-day needs that they might have. Second, and probably the most important role of a housing-based case manager, is to talk with the client about what their plans are for an identified permanent housing destination. Some clients have the ability, through income that they receive from work or improving their work circumstances, or from other sources, to be able to connect to an apartment or a shared apartment. Other clients who may have been homeless for a long period of time, may have a disability, need things like a Section 8 voucher. The housing-based case manager helps the client navigate that process so that they can get connected to those kinds of resources. Additionally, our homeless community-based organizations like Ritter Center, St. Vincent de Paul, Homeward Bound, Catholic Charities, and others provide an array of services. Folks are familiar with Homeward Bound's shelter up in Novato. They and several other providers also run some transitional housing sites that are a stepping stone into a permanent housing destination. Ritter Center runs a program called Street Medicine, which actually brings medical services on site to where individuals are. And 350 Merrydale will be a stop on the street medicine rotation as it serves the community. So folks with chronic medical conditions or other concerns can get help right away, as well as being referred to an appointment at a clinic if need be. And finally, the county, my division works with public health, social services, and behavioral health to make sure that if there's any need that a client has with a service that can be provided by HHS, that we're helping to connect the client to that. So if client is currently not a Medi-Cal recipient, but is eligible and needs to get connected and complete their application, we'll help work with the client to be sure that that happens. So we'll make sure that whatever entitlement services and supports that are within our control at HHS that are needed by clients at 350 Merrydale that they're connected to. And you can see from the stats that Daniel shared earlier that the percentage of clients who have benefits and other services already is very high because there have already been concerted efforts to connect clients to all those essential services.
Thank you, Gary. Next question. Please correct me if I'm wrong, not me, Daniel. Will the entire unhoused community be housed here at 350 Merrydale location?
Yeah, so no, the entire unhoused community will not be at 350 Merrydale. We have space for 65 cabins. And currently we have over 300 unhoused individuals within the city. So you can see certainly not everyone. The interim shelter is intended to serve people currently experiencing homelessness, and we're going to do our best to serve those individuals that we've identified and who are at the sanctioned site and along Anderson, but unfortunately there's not bandwidth to serve everyone.
Thank you. Next question. Please tell us more about public transportation accessibility from this site.
Yes, so there is a bus stop less than half a mile away. It's about an 8-minute walk from the site. So that's one mode of transportation. Additionally, staff is on site to help with transportation needs, and bus passes and transportation passes will be provided as part of the program budget.
Thank you. Next question. I'd like to know how you are qualifying residents to participate in the program. How will you avoid people moving here and get resources and not help? I'm reading it word by word.
Yeah, I hope I'm going to understand your question correctly. So the residents who qualify for the program are individuals who are currently within the sanctioned camping area on the initial outreach list that was provided as part of the grant from the state of California. One other thing I want to mention is that this program is limited to a total of 70 unique individuals with a long history of homelessness within San Rafael and will not go over that. So this is not an open system where folks are going to come from other jurisdictions to come seek help. This program is capped at 70 total from those lists that I just mentioned. So we're not anticipating any impact from other people coming from other jurisdictions to seek help at Merrydale.
Thank you. What security will be present to protect residents at the larger community from illegal activities?
Yeah, safety is a top priority for the city and county. As I mentioned earlier, we have a cleared code of conduct for all residents and a good neighbor policy that's going to be enforced to ensure safety and accountability. Violations may result in dismissal from the program. Additionally, 24/7 security will be provided. As Lieutenant Behringer and Lynn Murphy stated, we have our safe mobile mental health team available to call at any times. Their phone number is on our website, and we will make sure to advertise that. In addition, on site, our security company is controlling entrance and exit, and there's bag checks as well. In addition, the site's going to be fenced off, so you're not going to see people breaking into the site or out of the site. It's going to be a very well maintained and professionally staffed interim shelter program.
Thank you. What is the annual cost to run this property program all inclusive? How many years of operating funds do you have in hand today? Can you guarantee that neither county nor city taxes will be raised or bonds issued to pay for the ongoing operations?
Yes, so a little overview of the budget. The land acquisition cost is 7.3 million. Our site and program setup totals 1.6 million, and then the annual operating cost is 2.0 million. The partnership is made possible through the combination and coordination of multiple funding sources provided by the city and county's Encampment Resolution Fund, Round 3, the Marin County's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and local sources provided by the city and county. Future years of operation beyond June 30th, 2027 will be made possible through a fundraising campaign, philanthropic donations, and future grants from the state or other sources. The program is not going to raise taxes nor take funding away from any other services in order to manage this site.
What were the other sites considered? Please list those 20 sites.
So we looked at sites. Oh, yes, John. You're muted, John.
Muted, John.
There we go. Hi, everyone. John Stefanski, Assistant City Manager. We have a list of these sites that we'll be able to post up on our website as a part of our FAQ rather than reading through the list right now. And we'll have that up for everyone later this week. So just want to jump in there, Daniel, and also give you a break for getting a sip of water if you want.
Great, thank you.
Okay, John, you ready for the next question?
Yeah, I'll go for the next one.
Thank you. How will garbage trash cleanup be managed?
So our site operator, FS Global, they have a scope of work that includes the maintenance of the site as well as all janitorial related services. Residents or participants rather are also expected to maintain their immediate surrounding areas clean of any debris or anything. And just as a general plug for the city, you can always report illegal dumping and issues with garbage or the cleanliness of our shared public spaces by using the city's See Click Fix app, which will route you to our Department of Public Works, who will be sure to take care of that issue.
Thanks, John. Next question. Is there a time limit on how long the residents can stay on site?
So this project and the interim housing being provided is meant to be a temporary bridge and not a final destination. Just want to make that very clear. Typically, residents will stay for several months to a year while they work with the services and case managers provided by the county to provide identify permanent housing. And so it's a step up from emergency shelters or living on the streets, as it gives individuals a level of privacy and stability and dignity and security while they get back on their feet. So it's a marked improvement from being in a tent on the side of the road.
Thank you, John. Next question. When and where can the public provide public input?
Great question. So we have a couple opportunities for you to provide input on the project or provide feedback. And so you can do so next week at the in-person meeting we'll be holding over at the JCC, as well as you can provide public comment at the City Council's meeting on November 17th. And if by chance you're unable to attend both of those, You can always send in public comment to the city at city.clerk@cityofsanrafael.org, or also via our endhomelessness@cityofsanrafael.org email address.
Thank you. Next question. Why can't the project move straight to permanent supportive housing?
This is a very good question. And it's not as straightforward of an answer, but I'm going to try to provide that. Our ultimate goal here is to provide affordable housing, much needed affordable housing for our community. And the process of doing that takes time. And so during that time of developing the property for affordable housing, the city wants to put the land to use. And we saw this as an opportunity to establish an interim shelter. And so that's why we're not moving straight to permanent supportive housing. We are in a sense, but it takes so long that we're going to use the property while we're making progress towards that goal. I will also add that the affordable housing development process, the entitlement process, will go through our standard channels that the city has for evaluating and approving such projects.
Thank you. And as a follow-up for that question, John, what happens to the residents when you start construction of permanent housing on site?
This is a good question. So similar projects that we've seen and in our research have found that nearly 50% of the individuals who participate in the program are able to be permanently housed after 2 years. And so our program, like Daniel said earlier, is limited to the total number of unique individuals. So total number of people who can participate in the program to 70. And we have an interest to make sure that we get as many of those folks housed before the program ends. I will also add that within San Rafael, our services support area that was under the 101 viaduct about 4 years ago saw a rate of 70% plus of participants who were able to secure housing as a part of their participation in that program.
Thank you, John. That's good data. Are there plans to make sure that smart pathway remains safe and clean?
So the city is committed to ensuring the cleanliness of the surrounding project area. And so that includes, ensuring that the property is in good condition, well maintained. For the Smart Pathway, we have a very good relationship with Smart, and so we will continue to work with them to ensure that their property area remains clean, clear, and accessible.
The next question is, how did FS Global secure the contract? Was it open for public RFP?
So in 2024, concurrent with the efforts to establish the sanctioned camping area and following the award of the ERF3 grant, the city was able to conduct a request for proposals for contractors to provide the services to run the sanctioned camping area. And as a result of that, the city was able to identify and ultimately select FS Global as well as Defense Block to serve as the site managers and security team for the project. Due to the size of those contracts, those were brought before the City Council in August of 2024 for consideration. And then earlier this year, concurrent with our city's budget process, those contracts were then extended to provide these services for the sanctioned camping area. We are very satisfied with FS Global as well as D Block. Particularly, FS has done a great job of building strong relationships with our program participants through their consistent support and respectful day-to-day management, and that their team also includes staff with lived experience of homelessness, which then also helps to foster trust and ensure that services are delivered with compassion and dignity. So that's where we are on that.
Well, thank you so much, John. Next question is about security. Security is available within the site, but what about the immediate area, the residential areas and businesses around it? It doesn't have resources for that.
So this is a question, yeah,
Todd.
we're gonna pass this over to
Yeah.
Todd to talk
Todd.
about SRPD patrols.
Sure. Todd Behringer, Lieutenant, overseeing our day shift patrol and our specialty units. So we have a team of special operations unit officers dedicated to dealing with quality of life type of crimes. They will also be assigned to patrol this area up there, in addition to our patrol officers that patrol in the Terra Linda area. As I mentioned earlier, we also have the SAFE team available to handle people in crisis. And we also have Marin County's mobile crisis response team that can also respond to people that are experiencing mental health crises as well.
Thank you, Todd. Anything else to add, Daniel and John? Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Next
Thanks, Todd.
question. Can this have a negative impact on market value of Terra Linda? Any data to share, please?
This is a question we get quite a bit. And I want to just call out Nguyen, who has done a really great job of digging into the research and kicking the tires on that. And so in our FAQ, we have a more comprehensive answer as well as links to our sources on this. But research shows that there's no evidence that low income and extremely low income housing decrease nearby property values or lead to increased crime. Similarly, communities that have added professionally managed interim shelter sites with on-site staffing and security have not seen negative impacts on surrounding neighborhoods. It's when vacant or unmanaged sites are able to be converted into structured sites with clear rules, staffing, security, and access to services. The surrounding neighborhoods often report greater stability and improved experience of safety. We have seen this with the sanctioned camping area. The area where the sanctioned camping, the Mahone Creek encampment prior to the sanctioned camping area, it is night and day what has happened over there. And so back to the question at hand, property values are shaped by many factors, but studies have found that orderly replacement of unmanaged encampments and well-run programs can support neighborhood confidence rather than undermine it. And in some cases, these changes have coincided with stronger local investment and a more positive community outlook. So again, I encourage you all to visit our FAQ where you can see those sources yourselves. But from what we see, we believe that providing these sorts of interim shelter programs does not have a significant impact on local property values, and I would argue the absence of doing so would. So with that, we'll hand it over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Next question.
All right.
Yeah. What exactly is the code of conduct or good neighbor policy? When and how will this be shared with the community?
So the Good Neighbor policy is a shared commitment between the city, the site operator, and participants to ensure the program operates safely, respectfully, and transparently. It promotes open communication and quick resolution of community concerns. As you've heard during this, we have many ways that folks can reach out to us, get in touch, and also get resources, whether it's the SAFE team, PD, or community services as a whole. The sanctioned camping area in Mahone Creek has a code of conduct that participants must adhere to, and that will be the same for participants at 350 Merrydale.
And Daniel, as a follow-up, what happens if a resident violates the code of conduct, the good neighbor policy?
Right. So the code of conduct is there for a reason, just the same way as, your neighbors in your area hold each other to a standard. That's what we're doing here with this program. And so if folks are violating the code of conduct, they're not going to be able to maintain their space in the program.
Thank you. Next questions. Let me look at the other questions for the policy, for the good neighbor policy real quick. I don't think any other follow-up, but here is one. How are the residents' food needs being cared for on site? Daniel.
Yeah, so there's not going to be cooking facilities on site, but there is money in the budget to provide food for folks at the site. And so there will be microwaves for folks to reheat. There'll be areas that people can store medicine, but in terms of food, we'll be bringing in food to the site.
Thank you. How will parking be managed on the streets adjacent to 350 Merrydale to ensure no long-term parking or other parking violations occur?
As I mentioned in the presentation, we're coordinating with our city's parking enforcement division to monitor the surrounding streets and enforce the city's existing parking policies. Currently, that means no parking of vehicles for more than 72 hours, and we will continue that. We are not anticipating, besides staff vehicles that will certainly not be there overnight, a large influx of vehicles for the interim shelter portion of this.
Thank you. Next question. Are there other tiny homes in Marin County?
Yes, and I will kick this over to the county to respond to that.
Thank you. Yes, under one of the other in-camera resolution fund grants, an entire encampment has been shifted from folks living on the street and in dilapidated structures into a temporary RV park in that particular scenario. And the county is working, with other partners to look at the possibility of the use of these kinds of tiny cabins in response to other situations that are happening as well. So this is not the only interim shelter site in the county and currently happening.
Thank you. Anything to add, Daniel, for next question?
Next question.
Okay. How many case managers per resident? Actually calling up Gary again.
Sure, Gary, come on back.
Sorry, I should have.
Sure. The standard caseload for a housing-based case manager is 17 clients per each housing-based case manager.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, will there be AC for the unit? Daniel, next question.
Yes, currently there's no plans for air conditioning, but there will be heating.
Next question, is there a site curfew for the residents? Can the resident, sorry, it's the question just jumped at me. Can the resident enter and exit the facility at any time during 24 hours time period?
Yes, so this program is serving adults. So it's certainly not a locked facility. Folks will have the ability to enter and exit, again, following the quiet hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. But folks are independent adults who will be on site, and so there's no ability to restrict that.
Okay, thank you. Is there a way to build these temporary housing cabins to a different location instead of Merrydale? Or is this site set in stone? Will there be a vote?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we searched for over 2 years for a site. That being said, there have been no formal approvals for the project. The city council will consider the project on November 17th. And then the Board of Supervisors will also consider this project the following day, November 18th, at their regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Sorry, this question has two parts. Next one is, will there be an in-person meeting in the next day at the vote? Maybe I should have asked this question.
Yeah, so I'll try and respond. November 6th is our in-person event. And then 11 days later, will be the city council meeting on November 17th. So the next day is certainly not a vote. There's 11 days in between the in-person meeting at the Jewish Community Center, which again, that information is available on our website now.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Why can't the residents stay at the camp by Mahone Creek that is already set up?
I believe this question was already answered.
It was answered. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad. Does affordable housing mean that Section 8 residents will be considered first for housing?
At this point, it's too early on for the proposed development of affordable housing. There's many different versions of affordable housing and different levels of affordability. That will all be determined if this project's approved over the coming years in the entitlement process, as well as during the process to identify funding to build it.
Is there overnight staff?
Yes, there's 24/7, 365 staff on site, holidays, weekends, rain or shine, there will always be staff there.
How many officers patrol our neighborhood regularly now, and how much will increase? Colin Todd again.
We typically have 2 officers assigned to the Terra Linda area. We call it beats 5 and 6. So with the addition of our special operations unit, which have 2 officers assigned on bike patrols, they will also be supplementing the regular patrols up in Terra Linda.
Next, anything to add, Daniel? That's it. Okay. Next question. Where do they go if they are kicked out and not following the code of conduct or the good neighbor policy?
That is a good question. Folks again are adults, so there's no ability to predict where folks will end up if they are not permanently housed from the program.
Cool, thank you. Next question, how many unhoused residents are there?
Daniel, can I just chime in on that? Daniel's answer is correct, and I just want to, if I'm reading the subtext of that question as well, is the city's existing camping ordinance will be evaluated by the city council around the time that this project is opening, and at that time the council will consider making adjustments to either expand our existing regulations on camping in public spaces. And so individuals who, leave the program on their own volition may not and will likely not be able to return to other areas in the city given the changes and the regulations around camping in public spaces.
Thank you, John. Next question is about the amount of unhoused resident in Terra Linda. How many unhoused residents are there currently in Terra Linda?
So we did our point in time count last in Marin County was 2024, and that's where we have the over 300 number within the city of San Rafael. It doesn't pinpoint specific neighborhoods within cities, so it's hard to know, but anecdotally, it's really hard to say. So that's the quickest answer. Folks do move around from time to time, so what the answer is today might be different than it is tomorrow.
Thank you. Will future residents own vehicles? If so, there will be parking. Where would they park?
So there is parking available on the site, in front of the site. Currently, from our unsheltered population within the city, a very small minority of them own vehicles, so we're not anticipating a large influx or really any influx of vehicles besides staff vehicles.
So, thank you. Next question. FS Global and the security company are already contracted. So does that mean that the project is already moving forward before the council votes?
You taking that one, Daniel, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the existing contracts with FS Global and D Block are for the existing sanctioned camping area, and those contracts run through this fiscal year. And as we've said all along, that the city council will be considering this project at the meeting on November 17th, and that there have been no formal approvals of this project at this time.
Thank you, John. Want to take the next question too?
Sure.
All right. Are residents allowed to come and go and walk around the neighborhood?
I'm trying to see where you're at on. Or
I'm at the
question
I
track
went back
sheet
to
here.
I went back to the top, and this one.
So this is a good question. So individuals are allowed to enter and leave the facility, the project, and walk around any of the public spaces or traverse the city as they would like any other person in our community. And I don't know, Lynn, if you want to hop in and add some additional context to that.
I think you covered it just perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, John. I'll go back to the for folks in the CD team. I'm going back to the questions for SRPD on the crime rate. What are the crime rates, and how often do you need to be at the Mahone site?
Well, I don't have specifics, crime rates in front of me. We handle at the police department anywhere between 34 to 36,000 calls for service a year as a police department. We handle additional close to 6,000 officer initiated activities. So we're looking at about 44,000 total incidents that we handle on an annual basis. And what we did see is a significant decline from when we had the Mahone Path, where the homeless encampment was, that was unregulated, unsanctioned. It came out of COVID, and this is just where people congregated and settled. Then the city had the sanctioned camping area, which we have now, and we saw a significant, dramatic decrease in our calls for service and crimes that were under investigation when we have the sanctioned camping area. And I can provide more data at our next meeting. I'll do some more research into that.
Daniel, you're on mute. Daniel, you're on mute.
I have a few of the data points in front of me. So just to add on to Lieutenant Behringer's comments, prior to the Mahone Path and the camping ordinance being enacted in 23-24, there were 256 calls for service around the Mahone Path. That in 24-25 dropped to 49, which represents an over 80% decrease. And then in the Anderson-Lindaro area, there was over a 50% increase where incidents went from 65 to 32 calls for service. So it was quite a significant decrease and pales in comparison to the total number of calls that SRPD responds to every year.
And Daniel, what time frame is that you have that data for?
23-24 to 24-25.
Okay.
Thank you. While I have you both, are you putting armed security at this site? Are you bringing guns into our neighborhood? Tasers? Question mark.
No, there's not armed security at the site, nor tasers. The security staff on site, as I mentioned earlier, are professionally trained and go through mental health first aid training, among a plethora of trainings to be able to work at a site like this. And again, the organization we're working with has previous experience, so really focus on de-escalation versus bringing in guns to your neighborhood.
Thank you. Next question. Can the shelter be moved to a new site when affordable housing development begins?
That is certainly possible. These will be prefabricated cabins, and so they are able to be moved As I mentioned earlier, to find this site took over 2 years. So, who knows what the future entails, but just to answer your question, yes, the cabins are able to be moved from site to site.
Thank you, Daniel. Next question, could you please share the plan to address the situation at Anderson Drive and relocate the current encampment?
Yes, so the folks on Anderson Drive are part of the target population to be invited into the interim shelter portion of this program. And as our assistant city manager mentioned earlier, the council will be evaluating the camping ordinance to further prohibit camping along Anderson in conjunction with the potential opening of the site.
The next question is about pets. Why are pets allowed at the site?
I will bring Lynn back if you can to answer this.
Absolutely. So for most people who have pets currently at the sanctioned camping area, they are family. Those are their children. And typically the needs of the pets are placed above the needs of the individual. We have a very close working relationship with Marin Humane, who comes on site to do vaccinations, licensing, microchipping, and included in the code of conduct is rules for pets, that they must be kept on leash, they must pick up dog waste. And we find that people who have pets actually they are a calming source of strength for the folks that are at the site. And they tend to bring a level of calmness to the site. So we allow pets, dogs and cats as well.
Thank you, Lynn. You want to stay on for the next question too. Can you talk more about substance use and how you will support individuals who may be struggling with substance use and are looking to reduce their usage?
Absolutely. So at the SCA currently, we have an AA meeting on site. We have regular attendees. And we have found that because there is added stability, not having to worry about somebody, taking their property because of the 24/7 security and on-site project management, people are feeling much more stable and secure. And they can then look at other things that are going on in their life that might need some help, such as substance use. And we're finding that people on site are actually reaching out and asking for access to treatment programs, which we wholeheartedly endorse. And anyone who is asking for any type of substance use treatment or support, we can provide that on site. The Ritter Center has a mobile substance use treatment van that can provide services on site as well.
Is there anything else you want to add, Daniel or Gary from the county? No. Okay. Cool. Next question, you want to stay on to Lynn or who from the county want to join us? Are there on-site psychiatric services provided?
Again, the Ritter Center has a mobile van that has 2 clinicians that can do outreach to the site. They currently provide services to Homeward Bound, the shelter in Novato, in San Rafael. They're very nimble. I would imagine that we would probably have them coming to Merrydale as well. For anyone who needs something that is a longer term service, then we can connect them to the county services, such as the access line. And with case managers, we have the ability to transport people to the services. FS Global also provides transportation to services that are outside of walking or biking distance, but still within the county.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question, how frequently are the residents required to meet with their housing-based case manager?
So this is a voluntary program, so there's not a requirement for number of times individuals are required to meet with their case managers. That being said, part of this program is encouraging engagement with your case manager and having the residents there identify their goals and helping their case manager help them get to the path that they're looking for. So engagement with your case manager looks very different for each person, and there's not one stock answer.
Thank you, Daniel. The next two questions, I think John may have covered one of them already, and then the other one may have been covered. But how will the city and the county ensure that the participants, adults that live 350 Merrydale do not walk into our neighborhood and set up camps on our street? And I'll read the second one as well. Will medication adherence and sobriety be the requirement for access to housing opportunity for this program?
Sure. So I will tackle, those are two very different questions. I will tackle the first one. On our website, we have a ton of information about our current camping ordinance, where folks can camp and cannot camp. The Raphael Meadows, there's very little area, if any, that folks are allowed to camp. Additionally, as Lieutenant Behringer mentioned, we do weekly enforcement with our special operations unit. We notice people on Tuesdays and then abate on Thursdays or sooner if there's immediate health and risk danger. And if folks see something, they can report it to the End Homelessness at City of San Rafael website, call the SAFE team, call the non-emergency line. There's many ways to address that, but if you see something, feel free to call or email. That is what staff is here for. And then for the second question around medication adherence or sobriety, we are operating this program under a Housing First model. We here believe in the Housing First model and philosophy. And so there's no requirements or medication adherence. And I also just want to say, not everyone who's unsheltered does suffer from mental illness or substance abuse issues. So it's not an issue for all by any means, but we are operating under a Housing First principle.
Good, Daniel. Next question. Will it be in writing somewhere that the site will close in 2029? Will the city pass a resolution to that effect?
I believe that information is already on our website. And then in terms of a resolution, it will be part of the grant agreement with the county in terms of the end date.
Okay, thank you. Next question is about city council. For the city council meeting on November 17, has the city created the resolution to vote on yet? Has the city made a recommendation on how to vote on it?
So I'll take a stab at that one, Daniel. So the resolutions and the staff reports that the city council will be evaluating will be made public 72 hours before that meeting. So looking at my calendar here, that would be the agenda will post on Thursday, November 13th, and that will have all of the information there. And so we are working on those documents now, but that will not be available for the public until that time.
Thank you, John. And I see Gary's hand up.
Hi, thank you so much for having me join back in for a moment. I just wanted to clarify a piece of information from a previous question. Sorry to jump back in, but I needed a moment just to look up our point in time count. I just wanted to clarify because I think it will matter to folks listening that the number of individuals from the point in time count that are living unsheltered, that means on the street or in encampments somewhere in San Rafael, that number from 2024 is 264. And that includes the individuals, the 65 individuals that are living currently in the Mahone encampment and are part of this ERF project. The additional number of 62 individuals are folks who are currently in shelter in San Rafael. It just so happens that Homeward Bound's shelter is located within the city of San Rafael, as most of you are familiar with Jonathan's Place. So when we do the point in time count, we include both unsheltered individuals, people who are living on the street in particular cities, as well as individuals who might be in shelter. Technically, everyone is still homeless. Whether you're on the street or in a shelter, you still qualify as homeless. But just to clarify the numbers, 264 individuals reside within the city of San Rafael who are unsheltered, and 62 who are in shelter at Jonathan's Place. So that's where the over 300 number, in actuality 326, comes from as the total count for San Rafael. Homeward Bound also operates shelters in other cities. So for example, in the city of Novato, you would still see these dual numbers, the number of individuals who are on the street unsheltered and the number of people who are in Homeward Bound's shelter up in Hamilton in Novato. So I just wanted to clarify for listeners, a significant portion of the individuals that are counted within San Rafael actually are receiving daily services and residing at Jonathan's Place. The number on the street is 264. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Daniel, are you ready for the next question?
I am here.
All right. This is supposed to be a safe site for our neighborhood and why there is 24/7 security.
Yeah, so I think this question is asking why is there 24/7 security? We have security on the site to prevent any issues, not necessarily anticipating any issues. We want to make sure that folks are comfortable also within the neighborhood. And we're also responding to a population that's dealt with long-term trauma, generational trauma from living on the streets. And so there's just a lot of things that go on. And then you add in the fact that 65 folks are in one site. I know, most of you folks on this call are living in homes and we fight with our families sometimes. This occurs when you put a lot of people in one site. So they are really there just to prevent any issues from occurring.
Thank you, Daniel. Next question is the residents have no kitchen. How do you anticipate them to cook and care for their food?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, food will be brought to the site as part of, and that's included in the program budget. In addition to that, we have Vinnie's here that works with folks, has their kitchen open. And so we'll work with our normal service provider network to be able to meet folks' food needs.
Oh, thank you. Next question, I'll call SRPD, please. Getting yourself ready. Are the police going to work to support any 911 calls made about issues around this area?
Yes, we respond to all 911 calls, whether it's at this area, at 350 Merrydale, or anywhere in the area.
Thank you, Tom. Next question is about the site criteria. Daniel, if you can, what was the criteria for the site? Is it just flat, question mark?
Yeah, so I touched this question earlier. Importantly, flat and accessible large lot to fit 65 cabins within our city and county budget. And then also for the permanent housing portion of this location was identified within our housing element of the city. And so those were the main criteria while picking a site.
Next one is, what is the process to select a developer for the permanent housing project?
So I'll take this one. So the process for selecting a developer for the affordable housing project will be a process that is largely prescribed by state law, what's under what's called the Surplus Lands Act. And so the city would release an RFP specifically for affordable housing developers who would then respond to that with their proposals for developing the site. From a timing standpoint, we expect to have that process begin here within the next year or so, with the goal of having the site entitled, meaning that selected developer has gone through our city review process by June 30th of 2028.
Thank you, John. Anything to add, Daniel? Next question. Okay. Why is San Rafael bearing the burden of all the unhoused in Marin County? This is the Marin County issue. I'm just reading it from the question. Yet the focus is placing these homes only in San Rafael. Was Tiburon Mill Valley considered as an example? Question.
Can I kick this over to Gary to talk about the county approach, and then I can finish up?
Sure. Happy to, again, just provide a point of clarification for the jurisdiction that has the largest number of individuals currently experiencing unsheltered homelessness are the unincorporated areas of the county. But among municipalities, San Rafael does have the highest number of individuals at that 264. At the county, we consider San Rafael a priority in our efforts to address homelessness. We understand the type of burden that this number of individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness can provide a small to medium-sized jurisdiction like San Rafael. And so a majority of our efforts to resolve homelessness at the municipal level are directed to San Rafael. And as folks are aware, a number of services and supports to assist homeless individuals like St. Vincent de Paul, Ritter Center, and others are located in San Rafael, which are accessed frequently by individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness in the city. I'll turn it back to you, Daniel.
Yeah, can't say it much better myself. Thank you, Gary. But just to reiterate, this program is just for folks who are unsheltered within San Rafael city limits. So this isn't addressing homelessness in any other areas within the county.
Next question, Daniel. I'm trying to read this one. How can you assure us that the unhoused are not being deceptive when completing the measures / answering the questions? Is there potential that they could be lying about their criminal history when completing the measure? The assessment, I assume.
I am not sure what this is completely getting at. I assume maybe this is the coordinated entry assessment or the VI SPDAT.
Lynn.
Lynn,
Can
do
I
you want
hop
to talk
in
about
just
that? Yeah,
quickly?
please.
So I read the full question. It was asking about the VI SPDAT and the MAVSA, which are the assessment tools that we use for coordinated entry. The tiny site homes will not be based on coordinated entry. These are for people solely who are experiencing homelessness in the Mahone Creek area in San Rafael. And it is not dependent upon their answers on the MAVSA. And just to give a little more detail, the VI SPDAT has now been phased out. We are now using the MAVSA, which is the Marin Assessment for Vulnerability for single adults. And if there is a correction mechanism, so if a case manager does an assessment tool with their client, I also do the assessments myself. If there are clear disparities, the case manager or the person administering the assessment tool can go back and correct it.
And with that, we are at time for the webinar. I want to give my thanks first to everyone on the panel tonight, especially Vice Mayor Mary Beth Bushy, Supervisor Sackett. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for all your questions and all the residents and folks interested in San Rafael's response to homelessness joining today to listen. There will be, as I've said a few times today, our community meeting, in-person community meeting is next Thursday, November 6th, which will have more time. I know we didn't fully address every single question that came through the Q&A. We do apologize for that, but again, next Thursday is the next opportunity to ask any questions. And if you have not, we have a lot of information on our website. So if you go to the City of San Rafael's webpage, click on homelessness, there is a lot of information if you have not read it. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.